Okay, dear friends, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Rabbi Nahum. It's a big honor for us. We're very fortunate to have him here. He's the Rabbi of Sukkot David, and he teaches in many different shuls. And we're going to hear some words of wisdom and inspiration from Rabbi Nahum.
Thank you very much. I have to say, okay. So Ephraim and I go back very, very long. We used to be in the same yeshiva together. When I hear Ephraim's name, and especially when I see him, I remember two things. I remember my wedding, where he danced there. And my son tries to copy and imitate him. Remember when he came over for Shabbat one time? Like, oh, you're the guy from the movie. So that's one. I don't know if you know, but he's a great dancer. Number two is that what I really remember Ephraim for is that one time we stayed up learning. Shabbat night, the whole yeshiva stays up. And it's not a big deal, but we had our own little Sfaradi corner. That was like, Hashubi, 4 or 5 people, whatever, that we scraped together. I was very, very, I still remember till today, maybe you forgot already, is that we stay up, then we go to pray Shahrit. After Shahrit, you're staying up the whole night and you just want to go to sleep. The first thing you want to do is right after Shahrit, Alin Shabih becomes Tefillat al-Derech. You say it on the way to the dormitory, to the bedroom, and you go to sleep. After Shahrit, Ephraim grabs me and says, let's go, we still have energy. Let's learn a little bit more. I still remember we opened up Mishnayot. I forgot which Mishnah, I don't know if you remember, but we opened up Mishnayot and we learned and we continued learning. I was trying to go to sleep, but he grabbed me and he told me, you have to sit down and learn. And that's something very, very beautiful. You stayed up the whole night and you did what you have to do, more than you have to do, and then a little bit more extra. And Baruch Hashem, to hear what you're doing over here, you came back from where you in the world. And you come back and to do more for the community, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so we're here. Really, the best classes I like to give is a class where you can ask whatever you like. Any topic, any questions, anything that you like to talk about. Halakha, Musar, Hashkafa, philosophy, Kabbalah, sports, politics, whatever you like, no problem. You can ask whatever you like. That's my favorite types of classes. But if not, I can begin always. I don't mind that I can begin anything. But I like it to be, a discussion, talking, not just the rabbi speaking. Of course, the rabbi, has to get the final word. I'll be, we'll finish the recording when I'm done. But to get, to get your input and your questions, that's usually what's going to interest you the most. I can start talking about a subject that's not maybe interesting to you, and then out of embarrassment you'll say, okay, we'll just sit there and we'll let it go. How much more time? But if you ask the question, it will be obviously the most interesting. In Hebrew, the word to ask in Hebrew is lish'ol, she'elah, right? It's a question. The same word in Hebrew also means to borrow. I want to borrow. Let's say you have a car, you have a watch, you have an iPhone, iPad. I want to borrow something from you. So in Hebrew, I would say also the word lish'ol. When you ask a question, you really, basically, you're borrowing my whole concept, my whole focus. You focus. When you ask questions, you're interested in it. You're taking away, but when it's not interesting to you, you sit back, so it doesn't really connect to you. So we'll start with that. Any questions that you have on your mind?
You got questions. Moshe, I know you always have questions.
Don't be embarrassed.
So far, I don't have any questions. So
Let's
I just
start
want to
you.
listen.
Okay.
No, I don't have any questions, but if we don't have any questions, can you discuss since it's so much Rosh Hashanah?
Beautiful. That's a question. That's a comment. Okay. Rosh Hashanah. Beautiful. But I guess we're in the season. We're exactly a week from Rosh Hashanah. This time next week, it's a new year. So basically, this is the last week of the year. That's what it really is. It's the last week of the year. And there is a concept in Judaism that usually the way a person finishes off anything, that's the way he gets marked for it. And the reasoning I'll explain to you in a second, but we have it also in the same thing, in the same world. You ever watch Seinfeld? Okay. So you have to be very good with movies and TV to understand my Torah, because I use a lot of Neshalim for movies and TV. So you remember there was an episode with George where he would make a joke and everybody laughs and he says, "That's it, I'm done," and he would walk out, right? Because you want to leave off the people with a good taste. The last thing, you don't want to say a good joke, everybody laughs, then say another joke. Remember in the episode, I think, he says a joke, everybody laughs, he tries to say another one, and then it crashes, and then right away you lost everything. It's lehavdil, and the same idea. You want to end off the year on a good taste. You did something good.
I have a question.
Already?
When
Now in
you say-
Seinfeld. I don't
when
remember
you say
that.
finish off the year, when is the last day that you finish off? What's
Next
finish
week,
off day?
Wednesday afternoon, is
So
the last
before Rosh Hashanah starts,
that's the end of the year.
so that time is
A very special time.
a very good. So I have to finish. How would?
Oh, so how did you finish off? So you have the last week first of all right now. So you have 7 days of the week, and it's brought down in the Sefarim. So let me just first give you the explanation. Why does it work that way? What Hashem like forgets everything? What, we're playing the games over here? Like Hashem doesn't remember? You know, you could have like, you know, the typical story of the you know, beating up girlfriend. You know, I mean, what does that mean? Yeah, you always see girls getting into relationships with guys that are not good for them. They do terrible things to them. Sometimes they hit them, sometimes they cheat on them, sometimes they take their money. They use them completely. And the girl cries and cries and cries, and she comes back to her relative, and somebody in the family tells her, "You're crazy, leave him alone, he's not good for you," right? And then she says, "That's it, you're right." He comes and he says, "I love you." "Oh, he said he loves me," right? And then she comes back and the same story repeats itself. What happened? The last thing she talked to him about, he says he's going to change. Okay, fine, right? Her heart melts for her. But we know, what do you mean? You guys are repeating the same thing. So every Rosh Hashanah, the guy comes, "Oh, last week today? Baruch Hashem. Okay, now let me take out my kippah, my tzitzit, now let me become religious." Well, Hashem forgets? No, that's not the idea. First of all, it's got to be sincere. Right? Hashem knows what's going on in your heart. Me, if anybody, even Mekubalim don't really know what you're thinking. So if you want to put on a show as if you are really changing, but you really are not, that doesn't work for Hashem. You could do it works to impress other people. Now, why does it work with Hashem? Why does it work with Hashem? Because technically you're saying, "Look, Hashem, I'm a different person. Give me another chance, give me another year, give me watch, I'll continue." Just the year ended right now. This doesn't mean next day Rosh Hashanah I can go back and do what I did back then. But I'm showing a sincere change, a sincere drive to change, to become a different person. That's why it works. Because look, the year finished off and I'm ready to change. If you want to extend the year, I'll be continuing to be the same person. Now, I mean the same person, that's the new person, which is a good person. Back to your question. Just remind me again what your question was.
How do we finish it off?
How do you finish off a very good year? So now, like to also be practical. A lot of times you hear classes, changing things. I don't expect that I'm going to come here, you know, ever watch Rav Noah Yitzhak videos? You ever watch it on YouTube? You've seen it, right? Rav Noah Yitzhak, I grew up in a yeshiva, I used to watch it a lot, you know, behind the scenes, whatever. So the videos, it's amazing. He would get up, he would speak in front of maybe at least 500 to 3,000 people, sometimes even more. And by the time he finishes his 3-hour lecture, people come up to the stage and they change their whole lives. They're ready, they're prantzitzi, they're helonim, they cut their long ponytails, they change. And you grow up such an excitement, you feel like every time I give a speech, people are going to run. And then, after many years, you realize it's not reality. Even by Rabbi Noah, it's an excitement, but doesn't last. It needs to be maintained. So therefore, to be practical, what do I mean when I say change? My Waxman says an amazing thing. If you want to draw a picture of somebody, you ever go to those, to the theme parks, you see that guy over there drawing the cartoon, right? If you look at a picture, what makes somebody look different from somebody else? You can take one line, right? If you make the chin just a little bit longer, right? It's a different person. So Rabbi Waxman says he says the same idea. Rabbi Waxman from months ago, okay. He says, you don't have to change everything about you to be a different person. If you change one thing, you're already a different person. It's that one line. You're a different person. You're not the same person beforehand. That is a change already. If a person's coming to a new year, in Hebrew, a year is called Shana. Shana can mean, in Hebrew, if you play around with the vowels, it can mean any other things. It can mean Sheni, like second, number 2.
Yes.
It could mean Shinui, something different, Meshuna, change, right? It could also, depends how you vowel, but it's the same shortage, it could also be old, Yashan. We're coming to a new year. We're coming to a second year. And you have a choice now to be the same Yashan, old person, nothing changes. You do the same exact thing, everything is the same, nothing changes at all. Or you could say, I want to make a difference. I want to be Meshuna, I want to be different this year. I want to do something else. And therefore makes you a Sheni, a second person, a completely different person. From one thing, Because one thing is never one thing. When you change that one thing, everything eventually will have to change to make sure that that one thing is kept. It's a very simple mashal. Some people don't say B'chatem Hazon. I just sat down with somebody, some of the students, and I usually like to sit down with them before Rosh Hashanah. What are you going to accept upon yourself this year? So he's like, what do you mean, Rabbi? I do Baruch Hashem, I do everything. So you do everything? Say, Baruch Hashem, I do everything. I said, you say B'chatem Hazon after you eat bread? He said, no. Oh, wait a minute. You do everything B'chatem Hazon, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I don't say B'chatem Hazon. I said, okay. He's like, it's hard. I said, okay, fine, it's hard. So let's do like this. Let's make a goal by the end of the year, B'ezrat Hashem, you say B'chatem Hazon after bed. But for now, pick 2 days, besides Shabbat, pick 2 days that either you don't eat bread, or if you eat bread, you can say B'chatem Hazon. On these days. But if you don't want to eat bread, you don't have to eat bread. Start with that one little change. So what's going to happen now? He picked, let's say, Monday. So now Monday, you go on, you eat with your friends, you remember it's Monday. Oh no, now they're going to look at me, but I told the rabbi, where are you going? You're going to subs, and everything is is the same. Don't you eat the chicken by itself? You have to eat it together with the sandwich. So now you're stuck. So now all of a sudden, you made B'chatem Hazon in front of your friends. You know what that means? It's a big message. Your friends are, well, what happened to you? Oh, by us they say, what, your head is in the wall. You're black hat. What changed? But that one change already made a message to your friends that this guy is making a change. Who knows, maybe somebody else will say, if you can do it, I can do it. You don't know how many people, by the way, are waiting for somebody else to make the change. It's amazing. We've done it, we've seen it. That I wanted to do something and then I see somebody else doing it, then I'll do it also. I just gave you the story with the Shavuot. Right? I would love to sit and learn after I shahrit and everybody's going to sleep. But nobody's doing it. You have a justification to go to sleep. Nobody else is doing it. If I said, no, let's sit down then, okay. Well, I know, I'm stuck now. But somebody's doing it, I'm doing it. Sorry to pick on you. Okay, so never sit to my right. That's a rule in months.
You can pick on me too.
If you can buy the water, please.
Sure.
So that's the same idea. You change one thing, but now that made a big series of changes will come. And you know what? Even if you change one thing, but if you continue this change once a year, eventually, maybe you won't change everything, but you know what? It's impossible that you can't change everything. There's a rule, the Mishnah tells us. The rule is, mitzvah goreret mitzvah. When you do a mitzvah, you get the spiritual energy that gives you the ability to do another mitzvah. You're fasting on Yom Kippur. You're weak, you're tired. Imagine I would ask you, do me a favor, listen. See that big rabbi's chair? We need to make space. Could you do me a favor? Take that big rabbi's chair, and we need to get it out of here, so we're going to put it. You're going to take it all the way to McDonald's. I live over there in McDonald's. Carry it, and take it over to McDonald's. I can't. I'm fasting. I'm starving. I'm weak.
It's carrying.
Leave carrying for a second. I know. I was waiting for somebody to say that. It's a mashab. You have to. We're talking about after Yom Kippur, okay? It's already nighttime, right? You didn't eat yet. You're starving. You're weak. You need energy. You need food. When you eat food, you get energy. In Ruhaniyut, when it comes to spirituality, you need spiritual energy. The Gemara says, it's impossible to fight the Yetzer Hara. It's impossible. If you're thinking of fighting the Yetzer Hara by yourself, in Yom Kippur, I don't know what text you guys use, but by us, in the Mahazor, so it should be there also. It says, right before we say Shalom in the Amidah, it says, Hashem, I really should tell you, I sin so much, I should tell you that I'm never going to sin again. And really, that's what I should tell you, but what could I do? I can't say that because I'm lying. The Yetzer Hara is an angel made out of fire, and I'm a human being. How can I fight the Yetzer Hara? So therefore, if I tell you I'm never going to sin again, I'll be adding more to my sins because I can't fight the Yetzer Hara. It's impossible. And the Gemara says, you cannot fight the Yetzer Hara on your own if you don't have spiritual energy. What's that spiritual energy? So that depends. There's some, one French fry and one slice of pizza makes a big difference if you're hungry, right? One French fry, how much energy can one French fry give you? A little bit. If you eat a slice, it's a lot of energy. A slice of pizza is Talmud Torah. Learning Torah gives you spiritual energy. Every time you learn a class, besides inspiration, much more so if you learn, obviously, Gemara, but you get energized. It's easier to be able to control the Yetzer Hara. A goy tells you, I don't know how you guys can do this. Impossible. He's right. For him, it's impossible. He has no spiritual food. He just has to go and face the Yetzer Hara on his own. Almost impossible. or probably impossible. And that's why you can be the president of the United States, you could be the head of the secretary of treasury of France, and the little maid in the hotel will destroy your whole life. For what? It doesn't make sense. The Yetzer Hara, you're fighting Yetzer Hara. You're not thinking about your job. Yetzer Hara is very, very powerful. It took great people and destroyed their lives. You cannot fight the Yetzer Hara on your own. You need spiritual energy. And when you do one mitzvah, you start saying Birkat HaMazon. That's an additional. That's 3 French fries, maybe 4 French fries. I don't know, but that's energy. That's crackers. Every mitzvah, goreret mitzvah. You have the energy to be able to do another mitzvah. So when I say change, I don't expect you all of a sudden now to put on a black hat, the things. In fact, if you do that, our Rabbi in Yeshiva, Rabbi Gold, will tell us, no, there's something wrong. You're jumping too far. Relax. Take off the hat. Relax. You're not on that level yet. You have to go on each steps. You have to go on your level. So therefore, one change, what I mean, anything. Any small little thing. But make a change. It shouldn't be the same year. What are you coming? In business, everybody does the same thing. When you have your own business, nobody looks at these things. He says, "Oh, Baruch Hashem, I made $500,000 this year. Phew, that's more than most of the people that I know. I'm happy." That's not how a Jew thinks. I made $500,000. Wow. So once I open another store, I'll make $1 million. Why stop there? I'll open up. What do you think? Who are the biggest chains in America? Starbucks. All these guys are Jews. You don't stop. You don't. Okay. You think the guy from Starbucks saying, okay, Baruch Hashem, I have a few $1 billion. Let me stop here. No. And he's opening more and more and more in different continents in different parts of the world. Why? Because you should always strive. If you could do, why not? If you could do more, try to do more. If you see by the next year I could do more, do more. No way. You should never stop and say, okay, I'm happy with the way I'm the same way. Hashem expects us to do the best of what we can do from our ability. And that happens by Ratzon. If you want to make a change, you make a change. You have a last week now of the year. To start the last year, the last few days of the year, with a change, you walk into Rosh Hashanah as a different person. You're Sheni, you're somebody else. And therefore, when the Satan comes on Rosh Hashanah, where Zohar speaks about it left and right, we get judged on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, it says exactly, in the Zohar, the Satan comes and he brings a list of everything that you do. When the Satan comes, the defenders will say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. It says over here, Moshe, it's not Moshe. Moshe looks differently. What do you mean looks differently? It's one line difference. Yeah, that's a different person. It's not the same person. When you make the sketches, in the NYPD, did this guy mug you? It's a few line difference. He made a few differences. He's not the same person anymore. If he's not the same person, these are not his sins. This is the last guy. He's a different man right now. He's on his way to make a change in his life. And that's a very, very important thing. That's a very important rule when you come into Rosh Hashanah, is that you have to understand what Hashem expects of us. We are very real. In the Gemara, it's very, very real. Many halachot, the Gemara will say the following line. Lo nitna Torah lemalachei hasharet. Hashem did not give the Torah to angels. Hashem gave it to human beings. And therefore, there are many halachot that because of our humanity and our weakness of humanity, we are not bound to it. Very simple halakha, for example. Torah tells us don't eat bugs. Don't eat bugs. In fact, bugs is worse than non-kosher meat. If you eat non-kosher meat, right, it's 1 isur. If you eat a non-kosher bug, it could be up to 6 isurim. Up to 6. Not always, but up to 6 isurim. Good? So that means a guy is having 6 meals of, I'm going to say that one, of camel meat, and this guy is eating 1 salad. We used to, when we were younger, we didn't know the halakha. We used to go to the restaurant, only the salad. They don't clean the salad. The salad's full of bugs. It's much worse than just the meat. So anyway, so that bug is up to 6 averot, right? So now bugs are asur. It's very severe isur. The Gemara talks about it in very harsh ways. Okay. So now, says the Aruch HaShulchan, how could you breathe? Did you know there's microscopic bugs everywhere? You don't see that? It's all over. You just have to put it under a microscope and you'll see. Look, it's real right there. And the answer is, Lo nitna Torah lemalachei hasharet. We're not angels. We don't have, God gave us eyes, and we have to judge based on what our eyes see. Our eyes don't see it, then that's not what the Torah forbade us. If we would have been angels, so maybe that's why angels don't eat, I don't know. They see bugs everywhere. But if we would have been angels, the Torah is different. And the Gemara is very real. I'll tell you something very, when you hear this topic Gemara, you're like, what? You get shocked. Of course we speak of our rabbis as great, and they are. Every single name that's mentioned in the Gemara, the Shula says he was able to be Mehayeh Meti. He'd go to the cemetery, says, who do you want to talk to? That guy, no problem. Yeah, abracadabra, I don't know what he'd say. He'd bring him back up to life. That's the Shah says every single name in the Gemara that's mentioned there. Wala Mora'im. That's the later rabbis of the Gemara. If you go back early in the era, the rabbis were much greater. So listen to the story. The Gemara says that were from the Tanaim. They told their students, be careful, don't bring girls that are, like your wife or your sister, don't bring them around me. Because of a problem of Yetzer Hara. What, the holy rabbi is going to beat Nimshach after a girl? And the Gemara says, how many times? The story about Rabbi Akiva. One time Rabbi Akiva saw a beautiful woman, even though it was a test, it was really the Satan who just had to be a beautiful woman. And Rabbi Akiva went to crazy distances, walking basically over water, trying to go to the girl. How come the Gemara, and the Rambam says, the Gemara is not embarrassed of bringing such stories? You don't have to bring that story. Just tell me, stay away from girls. It's very dangerous. Why do you have to bring me lower Rabbi Akiva's ego? No. We are human beings. And we're not embarrassed of our humanity. But we have the weaknesses of our humanity. One time there was a student in yeshiva by us, Levi Mark. Remember? So he told me he had a rabbi in Chicago, or wherever he was. He says, obviously, the biggest thing the rabbis have to, one of the most embarrassing, odd moments is when you go somewhere and they don't know you, and then a lady in front of everybody sticks out her hand. I'll figure out how you're going to say no, and you can't say yes. The best one is Hakam Badia, Zachnol Bracha. When he was the chief rabbi, so the prime minister was who? Golda Meir.
Yes.
Okay, in front of national television, she stuck out her hand to Hakam Badia, and he said no. I'm sorry, we don't shake hands. Right? So now that's a very, but you got to be sorry. That's halakha, what are you going to do? So now here, what happened over here? So this person, a friend of ours, he told me, he said he had a rabbi. I said, and the question is, how do you answer them to understand? So he said he had this rabbi, he was tall, long, white beard. He said when a lady sticks out his hand, he said only he could do it. He would say, I'm sorry, I can't control myself. Right? But that's the reality. It's not that I can't control myself. Of course, the idea is that we're humans. We have weaknesses. There's no such a thing. I'm going to talk to the girl, I'm going to talk to somebody else's wife, and I'm Superman. Nothing's going to happen to me. No, it's very strong. And we know our weaknesses, and therefore we're not embarrassed by them, but we know what to stay away from. If I know I'm not going to be able to jump in the freezing cold water when it's 0 degrees outside, right, because my body can't handle it, so I'm not going to do it. But if I don't know that, thinking that I could do it, so I'll jump and I'll do it, and it'll be very, very problematic. You have to know your weaknesses. When you know your weaknesses, you know how much to be able to take upon yourself, not to take on yourself. Even you, with Rosh Hashanah, changing, in the last week of the year, doing something different. You have to know also what kind of thing different that you could do that you're able to handle. A smoker cannot just drop everything cold turkey unless it's a really, really, really bad situation where the doctor tells him, one more cigarette and you're going to be like that guy. And that guy can't move. Then that guy, okay, maybe he'll have to do it. But regular smokers usually, they'll do it. First, now they have the electric cigarettes. So that already calms them down a little bit. They have some nicotine, but it's not so bad. From the electric cigarettes, you can move down to patches. From there, you can move down to gum and sunflower seeds. And slowly, you can come back and become. If you drop usually things cold turkey, you may, I don't know, some people could, but in general, most people cannot drop everything cold turkey just like that. Dieting is the same thing. Anything you want to make a positive change, it's usually not so easy. To jump and to just do it may work for some people. I'm not going to say no, it may work for some people, but most of the people cannot do it. You have to do it in gradual, in steps, and you have to know your weaknesses, you have to know, and everybody's different. You need to have some sort of rabbi, somebody who knows you very well, to sit with you. Any doctor will tell you the same thing. If you want to go on a diet, don't relax yourself. Don't just starve yourself and make Yom Kippur every day. You have to know how to do it. Cut down on this food, cut down on that food. Exercise a little bit more. Okay, when you're ready, come back to me in 6 months, we'll go to the next step. In Ruhaniyut, spirituality, the same thing. You have to know your weakness. You also have to have a goal, what you want to accomplish, what you want to reach. I want to do 2 more mitzvot this year. It's not a lot, but it's not too little either. 2 mitzvot is not too little. Don't think 2 mitzvot, there's 613. 2 mitzvot, you'll be surprised. 2 mitzvot, but do it steady, do it good. You're solid, you're regular at it. Then the next year, you move on to the next 2 mitzvot. You should know, 2 mitzvot usually will, if you really do it good, the next year you'll be able to do 6 mitzvot. No. Because 2 mitzvot, it doesn't just give you 2 mitzvot. It gives you the spiritual energy to do, each one to do at least 3 times more. That's mitzvah, gored mitzvah. You do mitzvah, it brings upon another mitzvah. So that's my introduction.
Guys, questions?
Question. When you do brahot and you don't have yarmulke on you, can you do brahot or you cannot do?
Good question. Hilal, which means preferably, if you come and ask me, Rabbi, I don't have a kippah, so I make a beracha, so you know.
No,
I'm not done.
no, I'm just added to the question.
Yeah, okay,
So, like, you travel, right? In some places, like, I just been in Germany, right? They not even let me go to the synagogue.
Why? Really?
They said you have to sign up before you come to synagogue.
Oh, they have
Because
that
it's a
type of-
control, it's like
security.
So, on the Shabbat I've been walking around the synagogue in
Oh,
Berlin.
wow. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, in Turkey they have the same thing almost, unless somebody knows you
So
can bring
what
it.
happened? Like you're not wearing kippah,
In
right?
Belgium, the same thing.
And
Mhm.
you know what? You went to eat. You find the food like I'm vegetarian. For me, it's easy. You know, like in
Of course.
and like you have you're saying braha.
So let me tell you the rule is by berachot. The rule by berachot is that your head has to be covered. What it has to be covered with doesn't have to be a kippah, it could be a baseball cap, it could be a sleeve, but it cannot be your own skin.
Okay.
So now once you know that, so you could do
Napkins.
napkins,
Yeah.
100%, napkins. That you can find everywhere, but if you have long sleeves and you're embarrassed in front of everybody, right? You just saved yourself, you got yourself a beracha without anybody realizing. Once upon a time, even you used to pray Amidah that way, you used to be
No,
embarrassed.
that's the big problem because the Jews lives like Russia, the Jews lives in these countries like Austria, like Germany, Belgium, and that's where they have the problem.
Yes, 100%. But my in-laws are from Turkey, so I went to visit in Turkey also. And also in Turkey, you know what's going on. Now, back then it wasn't as bad, but still, nobody wore a kippah outside. Nobody wore a kippah, and we always wore baseball caps. So now the walk to the shul from my in-laws' house was about 40 minutes. It's a long way, so I used to pray, the korbanot. So now one part of the korbanot is Shema. How do you do that in the middle of the swing? And when you walk, you're walking through like Fifth Avenue. It's one of the main centers. So I would stop by a pole, I put my hand in like I have a headache, and that's you have to know what the halakha permits. So by a kippah, if you wear a baseball cap, you're good. You don't have a baseball cap,
So napkins is
napkin
good. So
works. Anything besides your regular skin. That was
one more question about
Please.
like the next we have Yom Kippur, right?
Yes.
Like I read like a lot of like articles today about the kuparot. Like Rashi said, a lot of different people like Rachamim saying that it's not good because we don't have the temple yet, so we cannot do the.
Okay.
So tell me, and the people, a lot of people like the animals control, and they're saying this is what the Jews doing right now with kaparat is bad.
Okay. Last year I made a special video of kaparot. It's on YouTube. Okay, they put up on YouTube. They put up on the, there's a Jewish radio station in the neighborhood. Okay, 95.1. You can listen to it. So they put up over there. And then a week later he told me I had to take it off. I said, why? He said, you have all these animal rights people, they came on and they started saying disgusting things. Okay? Now, let me explain to you the reason of kaparot. First of all, kaparot is not because of korban. Anybody who thinks that you bring a kapara, a chicken, as a korban,
Korban is a sacrifice.
mistaken.
It's not a
Sorry,
sacrifice.
sacrifice. In Beit HaMikdash, it's mistaken. The reason why you bring a chicken, so how come you don't do any other animal? Because chicken was not brought to Beit HaMikdash. Sorry. The reason why we bring a chicken is because chicken was not one of the animals sacrificed in the Beit HaMikdash. So that's why we take an animal that's not brought to the Beit HaMikdash, so people should not make that mistake. So anybody who thinks he doesn't know what kaparot is, anybody who tells you that, that's not correct.
So why
Would they? Okay, but there is a debate. There is a debate about kaparot, it should be done or not. There is opinions that say you should not do it. Who's that? The Rashba. Rashba and Shulchan Aruch also. He writes, why? He says because it's the ways of the Goyim. The Goyim used to do the same thing. Take a chicken and now all your sins go on the chicken. Right, what does that mean? You can do all the sins you want. The guy goes and he sleeps with the Goya. He eats tarev. He says, okay, no problem, take a chicken. And he transfers his, you just do a wire transfer. Or not today, it's wireless. So you just, Wi-Fi, everything, iCloud to the chicken. So I said before a guy dies, you should take a chicken with him in the grave. This way you stand up to Shammai and say, how many what you did? No problem, I got the answer for you. Take the chicken. This chicken should go to Gehinam and I'll go to Olam Haba. It doesn't work that way. great, but I don't think it works that way, right? The idea of the chicken is that it's supposed to make an impression on you. It's supposed to make an impression on you that look what's happening to the chicken, and that really, there's punishments in the Torah for sins, and that's a real thing. We try to avoid talking about it in this generation because people are like, oh, they associate with Christianity, punishment, and Gehenna and things. People don't like to hear it, but the reality is, there's punishment. It's very true. It's very real. So a person has to know when the person that I do not have, there's real punishment. And therefore, when I see this chicken getting slaughtered, that's like one of the executions of Beit Din is with the sword, headed. And then we see the chicken being thrown to the floor. That's like sekila. That's one of the executions
but
also.
they saying the brachot. Or?
No, there's no brachot. I'll tell you what they say. Zeti murati ze kapati. And the idea of it is as follows. Sometimes there's avirot. The Gemara says that although you did teshuvah, you did it. You're fine. But the problem is because your sin is so bad, teshuvah alone is not enough. You need to go through death. That kind of sin, where you did teshuvah, instead of going through actual death, that could be transferred to the chicken. Besides the regular thing that a person says. But a person should not think, no way, I'm going to do all the avirot and just take it on the chicken. It doesn't work that way.
So you doing kaparot?
I do kaparot, yes. Yeah, I do kaparot. If people don't, some people don't like it. If I believe that this is a korban, if it gets to the point when I was younger, sometimes if you believe that you won't have kaparah without the chicken, then don't do it. Some people go crazy. If I don't do the chicken, my gosh, he goes into Yom Kippur, what am I going to do? I didn't do the chicken. That's dangerous. One year I felt myself that way, so what I did is I just gave money for tzedakah and that's it. If you feel yourself feeling like, if I don't do kaparah, I'm not going to get, if I don't do the chicken, I'm not going to get redemption, I'm not going to get forgiven, that's dangerous. No. Everybody, even the Arizal who says you do kaparot, you have to be careful that you shouldn't make you think that this is your only way of redemption.
You use the money or?
You can use money, yeah, it's also brought down. You can use money.
And then you can bring the food to the bread to the canal or to the food for the fish, no?
No, that's tashlich, they put the bread in the fish.
That's something else.
Yeah, that's something else.
Okay, so Wednesday afternoon, right? For the stamp, you say exactly what your goals for the year. Okay, so you finalize that, okay? You make the promise. Now, okay, Rosh Hashanah comes in those 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Is there a special way? What are we supposed to think these 10 days? What are we supposed to do?
So these 10 days, you have to know first of all what actually happens, and automatically you'll understand what's going on. This past year, if you could just pause for a second, we're up to the last week of the year. Just first second, think of everything that happened this past year. 69 soldiers died, 3 teenagers died. You should know this is worldly, this happened to the Jewish people. But on a personal level also, whatever was a financial setback, I don't know, you have kids, you don't have kids, you're married, you're not married, you're going out with a girl, you're not going out. Whatever happened, good or bad, was written from last year Rosh Hashanah. That's the reality. That's Gemara, that's a Zohar, that's exactly what happens. And that's written on Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur. So the Gemara says like this, the Zohar says exactly like this. On Rosh Hashanah Hashem writes it, on Yom Kippur he seals it, on Rosh Hashanah Rabbah he puts the second seal on the outside, Shmini outside he hands it over to the Malachim, Malachim go and they do whatever it says in the decree. In case whatever it says in the decree is something that you don't like, it's not for you, or you feel it's good for you.
Okay, but when he writes this, he writes this based on what? On the 10 days?
No, based on your whole last, based on your last year and your projection towards this year. The best mashal is as follows. I own a company. I don't, I'm just telling you. Let's say I own a company. I have 300 employees. Okay? I see now towards the end of the year, I see I have to cut down 50 employees. They're all equal to me. 300 employees. I have to cut down 50 employees. I can't. I'm not making it. So I send a letter to everybody. You can already look for jobs. 50 of you will not be here next year. Okay? Good? When am I going to decide? Well, right now it's December. Right? December 4th. By January 1st, everybody will know if you're here or you're not. You're going to get a pink letter or not. Okay, fine. What do you think is going to happen from December 4th to January? I'm going to go now to my company. I'm going to visit. What do you think everybody's going to be doing?
Looking for jobs.
No, I think everybody will be wearing a suit.
Oh.
I'll be getting boxes of
That's about
chocolate.
behavior.
I'll be getting flowers every day.
Yeah.
And everybody will be, good morning, boss. How are you? Look what I did today. Oh, it's not even your job. I cleaned the toilet also, right? Everybody will be doing, right? Because they want to impress me. Now, do I think I'm going to get a box of chocolate after January 1st? No, I know for sure not. But I see at least when a person is giving me the box of chocolate and the flowers, there's a will. He's ready to do. He wants to do. But the other guy, I walk by him, no morning. I say good morning, right? So that guy, I don't need you. I don't need you, and I don't see you really producing for my company. There's another guy that I look at him. This guy was really working good the last year, and on his track record, I see he's going very well. Hashem, after next year, he's whatever it is, if it's life, parnasa, whatever it is, it's going to be written Rosh Hashanah. How does he decide? Let's see the history, and let's see your projection. Maybe I didn't sell so much, I didn't do so well, but already Hashem, I'm ready to go and volunteer and to do more.
So it's what I say basically.
It's what you, not what you say, it's what you agree, what you come to. Yeah, what you come to.
But there's no way you can change that seal?
So the mashal that's given with the seal and everything, I know there's no real seals, it's a spiritual world. The idea is, just like if you would have a letter. Imagine now the mayor is writing a new law. He's sitting down to write, and you're in the office. It's much easier to change it than if you already wrote it, sealed it, and it's already sitting, the mailman's about to pick it up. It's one of those movies like you have to walk in, no, slow motion, like stop, and get the letter and hand it him. Once it's handed to the mailman, it's much harder to get it. It means you could always do teshuvah. Teshuvah could always rip things out. It's much harder later on. Now these days, you have a special siyata d'shmiyah. It's so much easier now. It's on sale. I have to stop. I have another class to go to. So it's been a pleasure. B'ezrat Hashem, we will make a different time. B'ezrat Hashem. Bye, pleasure. Take care.
Nice to meet you and very good lecture. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Окей. Меня надо. Как вы поживаете?